Justice is going to serve Donald Trump's political interest.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
Now, in a huddle alongside Princess Anne and Boris Johnson, Justin Trudeau and Emmanuel Macron were caught discussing a 40-minute press conference. President Trump was not mentioned by name, but he had held a lengthy press conference with Mr. Macron earlier that day. The leaders are in London for NATO meetings.
Well, he's too fast.
They not like
Fast.
Do you think that Germany's too naive?
And honestly, with Trudeau, he's a nice guy. I find him to be a very nice guy. But, you know, the truth is that I called him out on the fact that he's not paying 2%. And I guess he's not very happy about it. I mean, you were there, a couple of you were there, and he's not paying 2%, and he should be paying 2%. It's Canada, they have money, and they should be paying 2%.
Psych! That's the wrong number!
What is your government's plan if President-elect Trump does put in place a 10% tariff on our exports?
Psych! That's the wrong number!
My favorite word in the world is tariffs. It's better than love.
25% tariffs, 25% tariffs, 25%. Canada and Mexico. Let's read out the full statement for you here on Live Now from Fox. He said, as everyone is aware, thousands of people are pouring through Mexico and Canada, bringing crime and drugs at levels never seen before. I will sign all necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada a 25% tariff.
It's better than love.
Into the United States and its ridiculous open border.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like
The consequences are going to be devastating for Canada. The U.S. is our largest trading partner. Roughly 67-70% of the totality of our trade is with the United States. 2/3 of our GDP is dependent on trade. I looked up the chief economist of Global Affairs Canada and StatsCan data, and they say that it estimates that just under 2 million jobs in Canada are dependent on exports to the United States. That's direct and indirect jobs. I mean, this is catastrophic. I mean, let's be very clear. There's no way of sugarcoating this. This is just completely bad news. There's no redeeming good news here for Canada.
As first reported by CNN, just 2 weeks ago, the pair had a testy phone call over tariffs. A senior source tells CBC News Trudeau argued Canada should be exempt since it is not a threat to U.S. national security. Trump replied, "Didn't you guys burn down the White House?" A reference to the War of 1812.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like
I have no doubt that the United States and Canada will remain firm friends and allies, whatever short-term disagreements may occur.
Trump's top economic advisor says the U.S. has no plan to kill its tariffs on steel and aluminum.
My favorite word in the world is tariffs. It's better than love.
I regard this as much like a family quarrel.
It's like a family member stabbing you right in the heart.
When the White House dismisses tariffs as a family quarrel,
it's like a family member stabbing you right in the heart.
Says Canada is overreacting. Those comments are not welcome here in Ottawa. A senior source says that's like burning
down your brother's house, killing your dog, kidnapping your daughter, and then turning around to say, what's your problem?
Drugs are coming across the border into Canada. We know illegals are coming across the border from the U.S. And we also know that over 90% of the guns that are seized by the police are coming from the U.S. Would you believe that Health Canada will not share where the ingredients to make this fentanyl are coming from? DEA has offered Ontario to send it down to their lab in Virginia to do an investigation and find out where the ingredients for fentanyl are coming from. That is absolutely critical. But isn't it a shame that we have to rely on the DEA in Virginia to look into where the fentanyl is coming from?
It's abundantly clear that the incoming president intends to move very aggressively on a number of different fronts very quickly. And there are things that our government should be doing. The first is that we should be avoiding doing things that make the matters worse. But what we need to do is to in a very rational way, have a clear plan, mobilize the Canadian business community, Canadian premiers, Canadian mayors, and others to reach out across the border. We need to address the issues that are fundamentally important to the Americans. And we need to recognize that it's not going to be business as usual.
They not like us. They not like.
We have a president who, instead of seeing this as being the special relationship between Canada and the United States, sees the relationship much more on a transactional basis. And we're also moving, both in this bilateral relationship and in international relations more generally, away from the principle of the rule of law to the principle of the rule of power. That he who holds all of the cards is going to play them and use them to advantage. That's a very different environment from the one in which we've operated for the last several decades.
Donald Trump told the American public during the campaign that he was going to turn the Department of Justice into a political operation, an arm of the White House, to destroy his political opponents.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like.
We've been getting reaction, Perrin. I want to show this tweet coming in from NDP leader Jagmeet Singh with regards to his reaction, saying that Justin Trudeau, you cannot keep your head in the sand, stand up and fight. And this is Jagmeet Singh's words here: fight like hell.
Fighting in a Brampton Plaza.
Canadian jobs are on the line here. So let's talk about the job front here, because I'm sure many businesses.
Well, let's talk about the tweet first for a minute.
Yes.
I can't think of a worse response than to start a spinning contest across the 49th parallel. Setting our hair on fire is not going to help anyone.
We see drugs flow from Mexico.
Hey, if you have the money to buy it, then feel free.
Coming up through California, in through BC, into Alberta, into Ontario. We will do everything we can as provincial governments and territorial governments to secure our borders. So we have to squash the illegal drugs,
hey, if you have the money,
illegal guns, and the illegals coming across the U.S. into Canada.
What followed late Monday night was a wild downtown shootout with nearly 100 rounds fired and 23 suspects arrested. The shootout left bullet holes all over, including in the windshield of this unmarked police car.
Well, I think there's abuse on both sides. We have illegals coming in from America into Canada as well. We have to work together. You don't go after each other when we have a serious problem. It's like a family member, and they are a family member. It's like a family member stabbing you right in the heart. The millions of people that travel down to the U.S., not only to vacation, but to do business. And the millions of Americans that come up to do business day in and day out. We love our American friends, and they love us.
My favorite word in the world is tariffs. It's better than love.
Do you love me? Are you riding?
We have sent crews down there when they had natural disasters numerous times. We're always there to support our American allies and friends. They need our critical minerals. They need our nickel. They need our lithium and all the other critical minerals, cobalt. They're in desperate need of cobalt. They need it for their military. They need it to produce products. And they aren't going to make a deal with China. China has 90% of the nickel cornered around the world, but they don't have Ontario's nickel cornered, and the Americans need our critical minerals like they need our energy.
If you have the money to buy it.
And what better friend to support each other than Canada and the U.S.?
Aren't you falling for the same divide and conquer tactics that President Trump used the last time, like 6 years ago? He wanted to do a bilateral agreement with Mexico until Mexico insisted that Canada be part of it. Isn't it kind of, I don't know, a bit of a dick move to throw Mexico under the bus and say it's insulting to be even compared to them?
pretty obvious that President Trump is using the threat of tariffs not as an economic policy, but to get an outcome. He wants the border addressed. Do you believe that the federal government has the willingness to act on that as opposed to just starting a fight with the Americans?
Well, I hope they do, and it's the biggest threat we've ever seen in as far as we're concerned in decades, more than decades. I can never remember a threat from a U.S. administration like we received today. It's unfortunate. It's very, very hurtful to Canadians and Americans on both sides, because I know Americans love Canada. They love the people in Canada, and we love our American counterparts.
My favorite word in the world is tariffs. It's better than love.
Tariffs, you know, the left wants to say, oh, and the globalists want to say, oh, he's going to put tariffs on Canada, so maple syrup coming from Canada is going to be $18.
Hey, if you have the money to buy it, then feel free.
Yeah. No, that's not the way it works. How many Fords are sold in Europe? Very, very, very few. You want to know why? Because a bunch of countries over there have tariffs on Fords because they want to sell their cars. And yet their cars are over here, Porsches, BMWs, Mercedes, and big factories over here. We talked about it on the last podcast. So all Trump is saying is, hey, I'm not just talking about China on tariffs. Mexico, you got to pay for the wall, and you got to be helping me with this fentanyl coming across the border. In Canada, I've been helping you with energy for a while, but you got to help me out on cars here, and you got to play fair. All he's putting him on notice is, y'all got to play fair.
They not like us. They not like us. They not.
If anything, if he causes the price of fentanyl to go up 10x, that's a good thing because fewer people can afford it. This is Trump protecting the interest of you and me and moving the ball forward on a playing field, because there's a little ball to be played with Mexico, a little ball to be played with Canada, and we already know that he's about to play big ball with China.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
Here's the share of U.S. imports since basically Trump took office in 2016. Chinese imports have plummeted. Now, I think Mexico is our number one trading partner at this point, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then there's Canada. All right, our neighbors to the north. But
coming back.
I think we're going to take Trump at his word when he said that my favorite word in the world is tariffs. It's better than love.
I still love you.
Now, China is now coming and saying, hey, we're willing to what?
Negotiate.
We're willing to work with you. Yeah. Everybody's saying we're willing to come and work with you. The only dummy that's playing a little bit too hard is Trudeau, and he's not going to like what's going to happen.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
Now, there's parts of it where he tries to say, I'm going to work with you or not. Everybody's going to have to work with
In English, they're on the comment about Canada being a 51st state.
Standing by in Ottawa. I want to start with these Trump jokes. This is often a very sensitive thing when it comes to Canada being considered the 51st state or a satellite state of the United States. Donald Trump joking about it. The idea of Justin Trudeau being a governor of an American state that is Canada, called him.
Yeah, and certainly these comments are interesting, because if they are a joke, then, you know, perhaps they're fine and it's just this social evening, as Canadian ministers have been describing it. But it also begs the question of whether or not Trump is taking the impacts of these tariffs seriously, if he really understands what this could do to the Canadian economy. We've heard from premiers, we've heard from Oxford University. This, if it's implemented and if it lasts, would essentially send the Canadian economy into a recession.
Think of that comment. Does that make Canada seem like a joke to Trump?
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
Thanks for dinner last night, President Trump. I look forward to the work we can do together again. Sharing a picture of him and Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago last night. Tariffs are going to be unavoidable in the short term.
My favorite word in the world is tariffs. It's better than love.
I still love you. Do you love me? Are you riding?
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.